Hello, how are you guys? All right, so we have a video here, but with this Australian comedian named Isaac Butterfield. How's my audio, guys? I see Shubham here. I see Julian. I see P. Okay, I'm gonna play this. Do you guys knew about this comedian Australian? I didn't know this guy, Isaac Butterfield. Is that right? Yeah. And he has got into a lot of trouble. Even the prime minister is speaking about it in Australia over this joke that I'm going to play for you guys. Okay, Shopam is saying it is good. Great. Let's just hear it. Guys, this is the backlash has been serious. So let's see how bad the joke is for it to deserve such a backlash. But he first is going to prepare us for it. So hold on.
G'day, ladies and gentlemen. The Buttsman here.
Wait, is it double? Okay, good.
I made a horrible joke, and this is my response to what everyone is saying about me right now. I woke up this morning and I walked downstairs, patted my pooches, and went to make a coffee, and that's when I made a very big mistake in reading my DMs. Ladies and gentlemen, I spent the first part of the morning learning that I'm appalling, I'm a racist dog, I'm an insensitive, distasteful human being. Someone said, let's bash this dog, let's find him, let's stab him. I'm abhorrent, I'm shameful, disgusting, Islamophobic. I'm a low-life, mangy dog. You wouldn't do that joke in Lakemba, would you? No. Here's another reason that whites...
I've been to Lakemba, by the way. There's a viral video on that. But, okay, so he is... so this is a very common tactic. Before you explain whether or not your joke was okay or not okay, first you have to show that you are the real victim here with all the messages that you get. It's a common tactic.
Slavery needs to be reintroduced. I hope you die of cancer. I'm going to rape you. I'm going to rape your mother. You piece of shit.
The rape threats are very common from a lot. Okay, from... I'm not saying most Muslims say that, but from that community, that the threats seem to be mostly directed, not mostly, but a lot of them seem to be directed at your female loved ones, either your daughter, your mother, your sister, or whatever.
You putrid dog, you insensitive prick, you brain-dead wanker. Someone said this is why God burns Australia with fire. Someone said, may God destroy you. And that was it. Oh, wait, no, it wasn't. I hope your daughter gets raped. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I got a lot of those. Even though I don't have a daughter, they threatened my daughter.
What have I done this time? Ladies and gentlemen, it would appear that your old pal, the Buttsman, is in a little bit of hot water. And a lot of people would argue rightfully so. You see, particularly Muslim people are very, very upset at an insensitive joke that I made in my recent comedy special, Anti-Hero. It's a joke that I was telling probably 12 months prior to that being taped. Key word there is, it is a joke. It is not real. It is make-believe. I don't really feel like that, but that is what comedy is. It is people going on a stage and telling people jokes. Now, I know the...
Okay, that's the key word that he's saying there. It's not real. It's make-believe. I'm going to write this down because we're going to come back to this not real part, okay?
You may be used to is just little jokes about, oh, the train and the tram. No, that is not the stand-up I enjoy. I enjoy the Jim Jeffries of the world, the Jimmy Carrs of the world, the Frankie Boyles of the world, the Ricky Gervais of the world. Was the joke rude, horrible, mean, offensive? Yes. And that is the point. It was a joke that I made about the horrific Christchurch massacre that unfortunately happened in New Zealand in 2019, one of the darkest days.
Right, the joke is coming.
And from someone who's been
Wait
there,
for the joke.
had a lot of dark history, and it has really affected that particular area of New Zealand. And for those of you wondering what the joke was, this was it. This was posted by several Muslim Instagram pages and Twitter pages.
This Australian extremist stormed this building, this mosque, this room, where people were saying their prayers and going about their business. And for me, the saddest thing about that, it wasn't the 52 people who were killed. It wasn't the countless others who had their lives changed forever because their family members were taken from them. It was the hundreds of people that night who couldn't make it home from nightclubs in Christchurch because all the cabbies were dead.
All right, so this is not my first reaction to this. I was streaming this on my personal YouTube channel on Twitch earlier, and the first time I heard this, I did not have any words. Like, I was doing face palms and everything. I was shocked. Like, this is, to me, this was like, whoa. So this is not my first reaction to this, just to be clear. But did you guys catch that? What do you guys think before I play his excuse? Too far. It's fine. It's a joke. But let's go. Let's continue. Let's actually hear this up.
Okay, so you can understand why people fucking hate me at the moment. People are demanding that I apologize, saying I must be cancelled. Look at these Instagram DMs, just scrolling through it. It doesn't end. There were thousands, literally thousands. I have never received this much hate because of a joke that I've said on stage. Well, except for this time last year when I received the exact same amount of hate from a different religion. But anyway, I digress. When people laughed at that joke, they had the same reaction that I did when I wrote it. I thought to myself, oh, that's fucking horrible. Oh my God. That is the reaction.
Wait, you guys, Julian, you don't understand the joke? I'm not going to explain it. You want me to replay the joke? Come on. You should understand the joke. Okay, hold on. Alex is saying, it's just a joke. Words aren't real. My job is all about wordsmithing and effective use of language, but words don't matter. Oh, Alex is making fun of him. So he's like saying it's just a joke. Like somebody whose entire job is about wordsmithing and effective use of language. He's saying is also saying that words don't matter. So he's saying it's a contradiction.
Because everyone knows what happened in Christchurch is horrible.
Everyone. Okay, here's another thing I want to react to. Everyone knows it's horrible. These are the things I disagree with. I'm gonna tell you my thoughts on this once we're over here, maybe. Horrible. Okay, let's continue.
Laugh about horrible things all the time. It's how people deal with tragedy. People didn't go home from that show. Those 2,000 people that you saw in that video there, they didn't leave that show and go, you know what, now I don't like this particular religious group or this colored person. No. They went, they laughed, they came home, and that was it. All it is just taking some time out of your day to laugh at the fucked up things in the world, and that is it. There is no point to it. It is just laughing at horrible things. And I understand why you're offended, because I'm offended by it too. That is the point. I won't apologize for it because that's the point. Because am I actually happy that this outrageous and horrible tragedy happened to people? Of course not. But this is the type of humor that I and many people, including the people that come to my shows, enjoy. Offensive shock humor. Some of the biggest comedians that have ever existed have done the exact same thing. They say the most fucked up things imaginable, but they say it on a stage. They are a comedian. It is a joke. It is not real. It is make-believe. There was only one thing that annoyed me about all the hate that I was getting, and I accept it all. I deserve it. But the one thing that annoyed me, a lot of people saying you would never say a joke like this about the Holocaust or 9/11. That's just not true. The joke preceding this one was a Holocaust joke. 20 minutes later.
All right, so yeah, I think
there was a 9/11 joke. And
okay, so there's a difference. Okay, let me tell you my take on it before I play the rest of this video, okay? Yes, Julian, that's what he meant. Jay is saying if the joke had been funny, then I might cut it more slack. I don't think it's relevant whether it's funny or not, okay? Okay, so I think so there's two ways to look at this, okay? Comedy has been very useful when it comes to pushing the barriers and breaking taboos and saying things that other people are not willing to say, just to make sure that we don't have some limitation over the what we don't have limitation over speech, right? However, that is useful when it comes to taboos, to breaking taboos that are taboos for no good reason, or there are taboos that makes people uncomfortable, but there's some tiny grain of truth to it that people don't want to admit and they don't want to say. And I think when you use comedy to say those things, it brings people's guard down, and people are like, yeah. And you're basically like showing people, like when you use dark humor, I like dark humor because it's shocking and if it's offensive, but there's usually something, something there that people realize as truth that makes us uncomfortable, and that true part makes us actually relate to that joke. Okay, that's the best thing that comedy can do for us. Like, that's the best use of comedy beyond just the laughter, or because in the middle you have like just cheap laughs, no point intended, it's just laughing. Okay, that's just the middle. The best is when comedy is used to break taboos that shouldn't be taboos, or that even if they are taboos, even if they are uncomfortable, we are saying things that need to be said, or things that we should accept as truth, even if we are not okay with it. That's the best use of comedy. The worst use of comedy, and what I think is happening here, is, hear me out on this, okay? Okay, before I actually tell you what the worst comedy, this is my personal opinion, okay? I'm not saying what the limitation should be on a societal level or from a government level, right? This is me. This is what I think, okay? I'm not saying my standards should be applied to everybody, okay? I'm not saying my standards should be used as a guideline for what's okay and what's not okay to say. This is just my personal view. So I told you what the best use of comedy is. The worst use of comedy, in my personal opinion, is when people, and let me give you two versions of it. One of it is not him, and the other one that what it is him. Okay, the version that is not him is when, maybe it's not him, is when genuine racist, homophobe, transphobes, and people with other really crappy ideas, dangerous ideas, want to smuggle in their crappy ideas with the cover of, it's just a joke, bro. It's just a joke. What, do you have a problem with joke? This is just dark humor. And I know that these people use this as a cover. I've seen them talk about using this as a cover, trying to normalize ideas that are dangerous with the cover that it's a joke. Okay, I'm not saying he's doing that, but then there are other group of people that are doing exactly the same thing as what these homophobes or racist groups are doing for the shock value. And even if their intention is not to do the same thing, it looks exactly the same. It looks exactly the same. So effectively, it is the same. Right? There's no truth, hidden truth that is being communicated with us. It's just outright racism covered, like spread around, and outright hatred and bigotry spread around with a cover that is just a joke, bro. Right? That's the difference between dark humor. Like, I'm okay with like some of the most offensive dark humor. I'm okay with Holocaust jokes. I'm okay with 9/11 jokes. The difference between those and this is exactly what he said at the beginning. He said, it's not real. Not everybody thinks, like everybody thinks it's horrible. The problem is that no, you're wrong. There are many people that think that was an okay thing to do to those people in that mosque. And it is, you're saying it's not real. No, your view of those people is a real thing that exists out there. It's a big real thing. There are many people. I have seen many people celebrating that shooting. Okay. There, like, when it comes to dark humor, like when it comes to topics like the Holocaust and 9/11, like, at least when it comes to the audience of those jokes, among the people that consume those jokes as content, we're relatively safe to assume those people do not want another 9/11 or another Holocaust. Okay, we know that. But I'm not so sure about the joke that you're making. Okay, the joke that you're making, even in Australia, this is a viewpoint, like the celebration or the dismissal or making fun of the people who are the victims of this crime. Is not something that right now in the world that we live in, and in Australia and in other, it's not something that people like, oh yeah, of course that's bad. Okay, no, the ideas of those people deserve to die is spreading. Okay, and it's growing, and they are smuggling in their ideas a lot of times using jokes, right? And this joke provides cover to them. If you're one of the people that you're actually intentionally using jokes to cover smuggling those horrible ideas, then, well, you're one of them. But even if you're not, you're basically helping them do exactly that. Okay, but this is my personal view. I don't think that my personal views needs to be like used as a standard, or like, oh, you get to joke and you not to get to joke, right? But so, other than my personal view, then there comes the societal, am I using that word right? Societal standards, and then the government, right? When it comes to people say, oh, free speech, that's only when, free speech is about what the government is going to do. Okay, so when it comes to government, yeah, almost everything that is not a crime should be allowed, like unless you're conning people, unless it's a fraud, I don't know, unless it's like spreading misinformation, other than that, direct call out to violence, direct like go kill this person. Other than that, the government should just chill out, stay out of it, right? So that if you see consequences in society, that is not your free speech being violated. Okay, if the government is staying out of it, your free speech is not being violated. So the government, I think, should stay out of it. I also told you what my personal view is, why I think this was a horrible joke. But now in the middle, society has a lot of freedom to do whatever it wants, right? You're free to say the joke, but you can't complain. I mean, you can, but you shouldn't. You shouldn't be expecting that people not to cancel you, right? You can say the joke. You say the joke. And now if nobody wants to give you a platform, or now if your show is being canceled or whatever, they're free to do that as well. They didn't like your joke. Freedom goes both ways. You're like, what happened to free speech? Okay, what happened to them being free to use their platform to the people that they like? They're free to do that. So that's what I think from a societal perspective. Let me see what you guys are saying. Wow, I missed a whole bunch of your comments. Let me highlight this one. P is saying it's situational, I guess. What's acceptable as comedy is in one place is an insult in others. No universal standard, I suppose. Does he think that comedy is a safe space without boundaries? I don't know. Right. So there's no universal standards. That's why I was telling you my standards, right? Is Tagia Watch is saying, is this live? Yes, it is live, but that might be me just giving you Tagia. So it might not be live. Strut saying he's the lowest tier trash comedian Australia has, in my opinion, just in general. Okay, Alex saying there's a fine line between dark humor and normalizing all awful ideas. I'm not sure where that line is, though. Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it. I think wherever the line was, this guy has crossed it. Again, this is not against anyone's free speech. A lot of people are like, oh, Armin, what happened to free speech? If the government is not arresting him or fining him, his free speech is not being violated. Alleyway saying, Isaac Butterbrains gonna have to go over messenger fallacy a half a dozen times more than usual for this one. Oh, what's the messenger fallacy? I don't know that one. Takia, what you're saying, invite a right winger. I do. I've invited many right wingers on this channel. Alex saying social standards is right. Yeah. Yes. Oh, societal standards. Yes, societal standards. Yes. Okay, good. I'm using it right. Alleyway, is that your name? People who say this is ironically are horrible. This ironically are horrible. I think your grammar is wrong here. People who say this ironically are horrible, is horrible, and by saying it ironically, you're helping the horrible people's ideas take hold, is a really easy way to condemn a big swath of argumentation. No, I think it's a case-by-case thing. I think you're making the slippery slope fallacy, right? I'm willing to accept a lot of dark humor, but I think if your dark humor it's hard to distinguish between your dark humor and genuine people with horrible ideas smuggling in their bad ideas with the excuse that it's a joke. If you can't tell the difference, then you should rethink your jokes. I think that's a reasonable thing to ask people, right? If I can't tell the difference, and if it's hard to tell the difference, and if you're literally doing the same thing, then your jokes are harmful.
Last 10 minutes of that special is all about how God apparently impregnated Jesus's mother Mary with special powers, and I compare that to date rape. It's fucked up, I know, and that is the point.
Okay, see the difference between that being fucked up and the joke that you made, like, oh, Mother Mary being raped by God, okay? Yeah, that's a fucked up in such a great way. Nobody, like, who is spreading ideas or like with, Mother Mary being raped by God? Who's using that idea, the normalization of that joke, to hurt anybody? Nobody. I mean, maybe you could find me something, but almost nobody. Nobody is using that to hurt anybody, right? That's the difference. The idea that you're normalizing is the idea that a large group of horrible people want to normalize.
My autistic brother, because you know what? Sometimes in life, the most fucked up things, somehow you have to find humor in them. I genuinely care about everyone, regardless of your skin color. I don't care what your religion is. If you treat me with respect, I will treat you with that same respect. And honestly, even if you hate me, I will probably, if I ever met you, I'd still treat you with respect. But in comedy, as a comedian, either everything is okay or nothing is okay.
What? No, there's an in between. In comedy, is either everything is okay or nothing is okay. Says who? Where did he come up with that rule? No, I don't accept that. No, there are some things. The answer is definitely somewhere in between that. Some things are okay and other things are not okay.
Okay, and fuck me, ladies and gentlemen, I genuinely believe that everything is okay, because you've got to understand that some things,
why?
If you laugh at 99% of a show, but you don't laugh at one thing and you get upset about that because that genuinely affects you, but you think everything else is funny that affects other people? What is that?
What is that? That's having a standard. That's called having a standard. That's one of the most common fallacies. You're either, oh my god, it's black and white for him. Can you explain why it has to be all okay or none of it okay? That's just a claim? What's the logical reasoning behind that?
Made jokes about the Bali bombing, about Aboriginals, about poor white people, about every topic under the sun. There is nothing sacred, and that is the way that comedy should be. I will not apologize for the joke. because it is on stage trying to make people laugh at some.
You don't have to apologize, and people don't have to give you a platform. So if you're like, yeah, you do, okay, don't apologize. It's okay. But if people are like, well, I don't want to give you a comedy tour now, then they have the right to do that as well.
Sometimes fucked up things. This is not a TED talk. That clip that's going around, it is not me standing in a public square addressing people who don't know that I'm joking. That would be fucked up. But when you come to a comedy show, you basically sign a contract that whatever you hear tonight is here for one reason, and that is to try and elicit a laugh from you. Whether
Show me the contract that everybody's signing when they're watching a comedy show.
it's a laugh of, oh my God, that was so clever, or oh my God, I can't believe he just fucking said that. That's horrible, and I'm horrible for laughing. I'm just a dude who does stand-up comedy in front of a crowd who knows what they signed up for. To the people, particularly the Muslim people, who think I'm a horrible piece of shit and you want to see me burn, well, if you really want to know what I think about the Christchurch massacre, and not what I wanted to say on stage to freak people out and shock and surprise people with how horrible I could be.
Okay, you don't have to be a horrible piece of shit to do unintentionally do a horrible piece of shit thing to do. Did I say that right? I don't know. Like you did something horrible. That doesn't mean you're a horrible person. Like I could call out horrible things you did without, especially if you're not doing it intentionally. Like I don't know what goes. I don't know your intentions, right? So you're gonna be like, hey, I'm a good person. I'm a good person. I didn't mean to be harming it. I didn't mean to be mean to people. Blah blah blah. Yeah, you know, it doesn't matter. You still did something really shitty. I don't care if you're a good person. You're good. I mean, I do care, but when it comes to judging whether what you did was okay or not okay, or was it harmful or not harmful, that's irrelevant. You might, I'm pretty sure you care about Muslim people and you don't want them to get harmed, or like you think it was the massacre was absolutely horrible and all of that, and you don't want a single person to be harmed because of their religion or their ethnicity. You have all those standards, okay? Still, that doesn't take away from the fact that the joke was horrible and it was normalizing a horrible trend. Hold on, let me see what Vikram is saying. Vikram saying Isaac is a typical anti-SJW. Being cancelled is just part of his rhetoric. Now he will go to conservative audiences and tell them how he's cancelled and they should support his work to own the libs. I mean, okay, to be fair, sometimes people get cancelled for really stupid reasons, and they're free to cancel them, and I'm free to come out and say it was a very shitty thing to do to cancel them. Like, I don't think you could. They have the right to remove the not give them the platform that they own, and I have a right to tell them, like, I think you made the wrong decision, right? So there are many examples of cancel culture going overboard and making really bad decisions. I'm just saying this is not it. This is one of the examples why I completely see why somebody would want to cancel you.
That all you have to do is look at the video that I posted the day that horrible event took place.
G'day everybody. Please excuse me, I just had my wisdom teeth out, so I can't really speak properly, but I just thought I needed to comment on what happened in New Zealand today. For those of you who don't know, a gunman.
So this was his reaction right after the shooting. Okay, in hindsight, it seemed like this video is now helping him, but I never get that. Like, maybe I'm wrong about this. You guys could correct me. But whenever massacre or like a major crime happens and people come out with a video and say, like, yeah, I condemn this, is that like, I don't know. I always feel like, really, you need to come out and clarify that you're against shooting innocent people? I always thought like that was a cheap thing to do. Like, oh yes, I'm against rape, I'm against genocide, I'm against shooting innocent people. Like, do you really need to clarify these things? Like, why not just come out and say, like, yes, I'm against bad things, I'm only stand for good things, bad things are bad, and good things are good. I don't know. I'm happy to be corrected on this, but do you think like like it makes sense? Like when the next massacre or something bad happens to a group of people, do you guys want me to come up with a video and be like, yes, it was really horrible? Or are you going to be like, thanks, Armin, we didn't know that it was horrible until you clarified for us that shooting innocent people is bad? Like, I don't know. Is this like treating your audience like they're idiots? Or is this something that needs to be clarified every time something bad happens? I haven't made up my mind on this. Shopam is saying, I think sometimes the cancel culture can cancel people who deserve it, but they really go overboard sometimes. Yes, I agree. Shopam, you completely agree with Shopam. Vikram is saying there are definitely bad examples of cancel culture. I was agreeing with you. I know. I was just clarifying. Shopam saying there are many people who deserve to be called out and canceled, and then and then comes to the far left who cancel people over a decade-old tweet without considering if the person has changed over that time. Start. I don't know how do you pronounce your name. I don't think it's about condemning the obvious horrible thing. It's about sending their condolences to the families of the victims, kind of like when a celebrity dies and people comment on social media. Okay, if that's the intention, I think that intention is, I think, more justifiable than, yes, I think it was a bad thing to do. A is saying, oh, I just listened to the joke. Yeah, comedy can say whatever it wants when it's funny. That was just a joke meant to push people's buttons. I don't think the fact of whether it was funny or not funny is part of my calculation at all to decide whether this was a good idea or not, right? Many people will find something funny and other people will find it not funny. But like people are like, oh, I don't like it because it was not funny. Like, that's not what we're evaluating here, whether or not it's funny. I'm not saying AA, you're saying that, but I just want to clarify. Because that's what a lot of people are commenting. Like, dude, this wasn't even funny. Who cares right now? That's not what we're talking about. Vikram is saying, just have one big video condemning every example of atrocities. Yeah, maybe I should do that. Just make sure I have that on record. I think I did make a tweet on that just to have that on my record. Okay, go, Julian. Have a good night. Have sleep. Yeah, sleep is very important. Don't. Definitely not funny. Yeah, again, I don't care if it was funny or not funny. Jay saying, I'm an idiot, so I'll take all the help I can get. I don't know what that's referring to. Stu Earth. Okay. All right, let's continue.
Went into a mosque and several other locations and shot. I think at the moment it's about 30 people have been confirmed dead. It's just a testament to show that there is so much hate and anger in the world, and people are out there who legitimately do not care for anyone else but themselves. These people are not human beings. They are just fucking horrible pieces of shit.
Okay, so first of all, they are human beings. They have human DNA, and though they're human beings, they're just horrible human beings. And the problem, unfortunately, with a lot of these people is not that he said like, oh, these people just care about themselves, they care about nobody else. Unfortunately, it's not that. Unfortunately, these people, a lot of times they think they're in the right because they care about other things other than themselves. Like, they think that their cause is justified because they care about other people other than themselves. So yeah, you have no idea what you're talking about. I'm not saying, obviously I'm not excusing it, or I'm saying it's like, I'm just saying these people think that they're sacrificing their own freedom or their own life for a greater good, for the betterment of their own, I don't know, people of their ethnicity or religion or whatever, right? So like, yeah, this is like so wrong. Like, yeah, obviously the shooter wasn't, if the shooter was only care about himself, he wouldn't do something that would get him life in prison.
I hope that bloke, wherever he is right now, I hope he just suffers for the rest of his life. The amount of pain and suffering he's caused people today. I watched the full 17-minute video of him. He streamed it live to his Facebook page. He turns up, he's got like a GoPro strapped to his head. He turns up at the mosque that he attacked all these people in and just starts shooting people, ending people's lives like that. Their entire existence over. And I sort of sat here for about 10 minutes afterwards just thinking, oh my, like, it's just so crazy that this happens in our world. And to everyone in New Zealand, I hope you're okay. And to everyone who's not okay, I hope it's okay soon. It's such a horrible thing to happen. My heart is with every single one who is affected by this horrible tragedy. And yeah, this should never happen to anyone in any part of the world. Just disgraceful. Big shout out to the emergency service crews who got there as quick as they can and put their lives at risk. Yeah. Anyway, try and have a good weekend. I love you all, and be kind to the people around you. Peace out.
And you know what's absolutely crazy? Immediately after that video that I watched back through just to make sure I said everything that I actually thought, this Jimmy Carr clip played. Just have a listen.
All right, let's see what Stuart is saying. Just curious, by your standard, does any joke with the template, the Massacre tragedy against Group X is sad because Group X can't do this stereotypical thing for us anymore? Always cancel worthy? Let me think about this, what you're saying. This massacre against Group X is sad because Group X can't do the stereotypical thing for us anymore. Again, it's not about the joke itself. It's about whether or not the normalization of what the joke is trying to, the gut reaction to how discussing something like this, is the removal of that is actually actively being used right now as we speak by other people as a method to bring misery and harm to a group of people by enough people for this to be worthy of us reconsidering whether or not we want to normalize such a joke. Do you know what I mean? That's what I think, right? So, for example, like right now, I think Holocaust jokes are okay, even though it is about a massacre and tragedy of a group of people. Because I don't think we are, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we are at the risk of repeating that. Not that I know of. Like, if you could show me that how normalizing Holocaust jokes could lead into another Holocaust, if you could show me that line of reasoning, I might be like, okay, fine, no Holocaust jokes, right? I can't see that leading to another. I don't think it follows. But I can see, given how I've been into a lot of these alt-right circles, okay? And I've seen the normalization methods that they're trying to use. And I can see how they would look at this and be like, yes, this is working in our advantage. So I can see how one follows the other one. I can see how their groups and their agenda, makes a lot more progress if these things are normalized. Here's the thing. I might have reconsidered whether a Holocaust joke is okay or not if the audience of the Holocaust jokes were a whole bunch of like if a Holocaust joke was being people laughing at it like in Saudi Arabia, they're like, yeah, or I don't know, like people that actually genuinely think like maybe Holocaust was a good thing, I would be like, okay, yeah, you guys need to cut this shit out, right? But most of the times when I see people use dark humor around that topic, it's with the audience it's at the community and a group of people that obviously recognize that as something that should never be repeated, right? With this joke, I don't think that's the case. With this joke, I think we're living in a world and the audience, like in Australia and in Western countries, in English speaking countries, are people that include a lot of people that do want to normalize harming Muslims. So that's the difference. Does that make sense? AA saying, while funny is subjective to the viewer, when only a small portion of people find it funny, you aren't delivering the message to the right group. I don't really care if it was funny or not. I don't really know why that's a big deal for you, AA. I'm trying to see if this is normalizing a harm or not. That's what I'm trying to evaluate. So I don't really know why, if it's funny or not, is an issue here. Jay saying, I'm not saying being funny is the standard for it. If it was right or wrong, but being funny is the standard for the comedy part of the equation. Yeah. Okay. If you guys are trying to see if this is good comedy or bad comedy, that's a separate discussion, right? And it's okay to have the discussion. What I'm discussing right now is whether or not this is harmful or not harmful. But again, like, yeah, you AA and J, you might want to have a discussion over whether this is funny or not. AA saying, you don't think that joking about a group of people that has historically been oppressed could lead to it becoming a way to oppress them again? I don't think. I mean, anything is possible, but I don't think, because I've also seen the Jewish community use Holocaust jokes as a coping mechanism. So, as a way to make, so it's not just that if the possibility is small enough, then dark humor has a lot of advantages that should not just be dismissed just because there's a possibility of something backfiring, right? If it's a possibility is small enough, right? I think most of the audience of the people that Holocaust jokes are targeted, are meant for, most of that is not a community of people that we are at the risk of them committing, I don't know, something so atrocious like that again, right? Again, we cannot just dismiss all kind of dark humor just because there's a slight possibility of it turning into something that is used for normalizing. I think that the Holocaust jokes, for a lot of people, it works because they find it, because again, it also really depends on the Holocaust joke. I really like a lot of Jewish comedians say Holocaust jokes, and sometimes they use it in such a clever way that it's like shocking, it's disgusting, but there's something interesting to it, and they're also using it as a, I don't know. I don't want to I think that we're not in a danger. It's not the same, right? It's not the same as this. That is like so far, like we have moved past that. We're not in a danger right now of somebody. We're not in the close to people committing a Holocaust, and that's why I said that I would reconsider thinking if a Holocaust joke is okay or not, if the audience are people that genuinely think, oh yeah, that's okay, and maybe we should repeat that over again, right? So if the audience, that's why I'm saying, like, if you're saying a Holocaust joke, for example, in Saudi Arabia, I would be like, these people are laughing, but they're also kind of agreeing with you, aren't they? Like, maybe, at least a good portion of them. So I wouldn't be okay with that, Again, I'm okay. I could be corrected on this. Like, I'm happy to. I'm happy to change my mind on this if you guys convince me. Hold on, let me actually see if you have any comeback against this. All right, let's just finish this video.
What is the most offensive joke that you've ever written?
Okay, let's see if he's gonna say an offense. He's gonna use this example as an offensive joke to show, like, look, other great comedians say really offensive things. Okay, but let's see if my standard for why his joke was not okay, would it apply to the joke that he's gonna say Okay, I mean, I think it's going to be okay if it's offensive, if it's not normalizing narratives that are currently, as we speak, not potentially, not maybe, not is it going to be likely. No, is he going to say an offensive joke that currently actively is being used by certain group of people to normalize the desire to harm a minority? Okay, again, like when it comes to the Holocaust joke, it's like, yeah, maybe potentially, if this happened and then this happens and then step A, B, C, D, and F, maybe, no, I'm talking about as we speak, there are horrible people that are actively trying to normalize this shit, and to harm people and to make it more okay accepting for people to harm an entire group of people. And and it's widespread. Like, it's not like, oh, there's 5 people over here, 6 people over there. No, this is a widespread problem. Okay, that's my standard. Maybe it's a standard that I need to adjust, but as we speak right now, that's my standard. So let's see the offensive. Again, if it's offensive, I think it's okay. The offensiveness of it doesn't mean that it should, for me, doesn't mean that it doesn't meet my standard. But let's see.
If only Africa had more mosquito nets, then every year we could save millions of mosquitoes from dying needlessly of AIDS.
It is a joke.
Okay, so I think that was funny, okay? It was offensive. It was really offensive, okay? It was a good joke. It was offensive exactly this. It was funny because it was offensive. And nobody is trying to kill people in Africa with AIDS right now. Like, nobody is like what is that normalize? What is that going to normalize? Like, the reason why we're shocked is because we know it's not okay to be happy with people dying. That's why it's shocking. So, and technically, we're not accepting people's death as something to be okay with, right? Because just accepting the nature of the joke being shocking means that we're not okay with it. And there's nobody right now that is trying to use that narrative to normalize being shitty to people in Africa. So I think I'm okay with that joke. I mean, I'm not okay with, I think that joke meets my standards. It's offensive and it's okay. Does that make sense to you guys? Chopin is saying, would it be okay to make a horrible joke when the majority doesn't want it to happen, but a significant minority does? Yeah, I think so. A significant minority. That's what I meant. A significant minority for it to be widespread enough to be actually dangerous. What do you guys think about that joke that you just heard? This joke. Do you think that's okay? Does it meet your standard? Yeah, okay, so yeah, you're right. The fact that it was funny is not the issue here. Again, I did find it funny, but whether or not I find it funny or not, I don't think it's normalizing a narrative that is being used to harm people. That's basically the simple, short version of it. It's not normalizing a narrative that is actively being used to harm people. You're right, though, AA. The fact that it's funny is irrelevant. Stuart is saying that mosquito joke was funny because of the twist at the end when he said we need a mosquito net over Africa so we can save millions of mosquitoes. Mosquitoes dying of AIDS was the offensive part. Yes.
Of AIDS.
Well, and again, we could here's the thing. It's very safe to assume that everybody here, everyone in the audience, we watching it, we value people's lives over mosquito lives. Like, that is not something that is being successfully, that's not a successful campaign that is right now being happening by anybody. If it becomes a successful campaign by people trying to spread AIDS in Africa, then I would be like, okay, let's reconsider this joke.
It is a joke. That is all a joke. Jimmy Carr doesn't mean that. I don't mean the horrible things that I say. I know you are offended. I understand that. And I get offended at stand-up as well. But instead of freaking out and going all over Twitter and Instagram and sending death threats and all this type of business, I go, holy fuck, that's so offensive. But that's what I find funny. That's what I enjoy. That's why I watch certain comedians, and that's why I try and write in that certain way, because that is how my fucked up mind works, ladies and gentlemen. I like to think of my stand-up like a horror movie. You're walking down a dark alleyway, and then bam, something comes out that you don't expect, and it's that shock value that makes you go, oh my God. I'll end this video with what happened to me when I went to Christchurch. We actually went to the mosque and parked just up the road, and we had a bit of a chat about what had happened there and the death and destruction and all the lives that were ruined because of that day. And I'm not a religious person, but we said a very quiet prayer about everything that happened, about how horrible that was, and that we hoped that whoever was taken in that horrible series of events has found some happiness and peace wherever they happen to be, heaven or otherwise. Ladies and gentlemen, I will continue to say fucking horrible things because that is what I find funny. And if you don't find it funny, then all you have to do is not watch it. Okay, I'm not going to be mad at you. You just don't have to watch it.
Right. So, yeah, we don't have to watch it if we don't like it, but it works the other way around as well. Isaac, is that his name? The people who don't want to platform you because of your joke don't also have to platform you. It's just simple as that. You know, I don't have to complain that your joke is horrible. If I don't want to watch it, I don't watch it. If it's too distressing to me, yeah, fair enough. But you also have to agree that if anybody doesn't want to platform you because of it, it's fair game the other way around as well. Christy. All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, be a good motherfucker.
All right, guys. Do you guys agree with my standard, or do you think I should revisit my standards? Stuart is saying we can agree the stance of it's all okay or nothing is okay is the dumbest thing to say regarding comedy. It's one of the dumbest things. I'm not sure if it is the dumbest thing, but yep, fair enough. But again, so I'm gonna end this stream. But if anybody wants to make me rethink my standard, I'm happy to do so, because I myself, I'm not sure if it's a good standard or if it's a bad standard. Right? I'm happy to change my opinion on anything. Right? In the meantime, like. So, oh look, my channel, like the Atheist Republic channel, has this join button as well these days. So you can do this, not on this channel. I mean, you can on this channel, but on Atheist Republic, hit the subscribe button, hit the join button if you can afford it. If you can't, it's just like I think $1 a month or something like that. But you can support the channel with the join button, but you don't have to. On Twitch, we have like a subscribe button as well these days. So that's a new thing. You could support us that way. Again, do not support us. Do not support us if you are struggling financially, okay? But at least hit the subscribe and the like button. At least do that. It's really easy, okay? I'm just going to click it and then unclick it. You see, it turns blue. It's very easy. Just do that. Just do it now. All right. Love you guys. The P is reminding you to hit the follow button on Twitch and hit the subscribe button on YouTube. AA, I'm just going to read one last comment. AA is saying, I still think it's only acceptable if the majority of the audience finds it funny. Obviously, the viewers don't find this funny, and that's what makes it unacceptable. Okay, that's your standard. Oh, AA see, AA disagreed with me, and he or she still liked the video. Thank you. Stuart saying, Isaac, okay, I'm reading last comment, okay? Isaac has a different standards. Where did I get significance? Isaac has different standards to you, and to me and everyone else. People don't want certain consequences for the same joke. It's all subjective and hard to argue, in my opinion. What's all subjective, that's why I said these are my standards, right? Obviously, other people have other standards. Well, when I say these are my standards, it's acknowledging the fact that my standards are different from other people's standards. So I agree. And I'm happy to be convinced out of my standards into having new standards. That's how it works. Oh, wow. We got a new subscriber. Liked and subscribed. Thank you. All right. Love you guys. No, I only love the only people here that have either subscribed to our YouTube channel or have followed us on Twitch. Other than those, I only love you guys. The rest of you, I don't know what's up with you guys. What's wrong with you? Okay, just subscribe. All right, bye. And bye, Christy. Nice seeing you here.